My name is Julia Reyes. I'm a 39-year-old staff sergeant in the U.S. Army, and I've been serving for 17 years. If you ask my family, they'll tell you I drive a supply truck somewhere safe, maybe on base, maybe a little paperwork here and there. Nothing too dangerous. Nothing too important. According to my mother, I chose a simple job that suits me. Her version makes it easier to explain to her friends at Sunday brunch. She tells them I'm doing something supportive, which is code for nothing worth bragging about. I let her talk. It's easier that way. What they don't know is that I lead a tactical intelligence unit deployed to volatile zones. I've coordinated extraction ops under fire, gathered real-time data from human sources in enemy territory, and stood in command centers while lives, American and not, hung in the balance. I've walked into buildings not knowing if I'd walk out. I've seen what war does when no one is looking. They don't know any of that. They think I wear a uniform, not armor. They think I've spent the last decade organizing files, not dodging mortars or decrypting threats. My niece once asked if I get bored. Just driving trucks all day? I smiled and said, it's not too bad. The radio keeps me company. I'm not angry at them. Not really. I chose this. I chose the clearance level that sealed my life behind walls they can't see through. I chose the silence that protects not just me, but them. I chose the kind of work where your victories don't end up in the news and no one claps for you at the dinner table. But that doesn't mean it doesn't sting sometimes. When they talk about me like I never figured my life out. Like I'm the one who stayed behind while everyone else climbed the ladder of real success. They don't see the mission briefings or the body armor or the nights I've spent reviewing satellite images until my eyes blurred. They just see Julia, the unmarried daughter, the one who never had kids, the one who didn't become a doctor like her cousin or an architect like her brother. They see me, and they think I've settled, that I got stuck, that I disappeared into the background while everyone else built something worth talking about. But I know better. I know what I've built. I know what I've protected. I know what I've survived. And just because they don't know who I really am, doesn't mean I don't. At every holiday gathering, there's always that moment. The one where someone leans in with a soft smile and a voice dipped in polite concern and says, "So Julia, have you thought about maybe doing something safer?" My aunt suggested teaching. My cousin offered to put in a word at the VA. My mom once mailed me a brochure for an online business degree. They mean well. At least that's what I tell myself. But it always lands the same way. Like, my life isn't quite real to them. Like it's a temporary phase I'll grow out of once I finally settle down. What they don't see is me standing in a forward operating base at 3 a.m., briefing a room full of men who outrank me. They don't see the maps, the satellite feeds, the names on the whiteboard of people who might not live through the week. They don't know I've sent teams into danger with nothing but intel I had to verify twice. One mistake, one missed detail, and someone dies. But back home, I'm just Julia, the one who never brings a date, the one who always has to run back early because of work, the one who they think just can't seem to figure life out. Once my uncle said, "You're too smart to be wasting your best years like this." I'd gotten back from a deployment 5 days earlier. We'd lost a corporal. I hadn't even unpacked my rucksack. But I smiled, nodded, took another sip of wine and let him keep talking. Sometimes I wonder what they'd say if they saw what I see. If they watched me review drone footage looking for signs of an ambush. If they knew I've held the hand of a wounded soldier while the medevac chopper was still 20 minutes out. If they understood what it's like to give the go order and pray you made the right call. They think I'm avoiding life. They don't know that I've built one in the quiet. in the space between classified reports and moments of absolute clarity. My teammates trust me with their lives. My commanding officer relies on my judgment. But to my family, I'm still just the girl who never quite fit the mold. And yet, they think I'm the one who's lost. Who needs savin'? Who needs a different life? But what they don't understand is I've already chosen mine. Fully, deliberately, painfully. And I would choose it again. Even if no one ever really sees what it costs me. It started with a voicemail. My mom's voice, chipper in that rehearsed way she uses when she wants something, telling me she'd finally booked the flights and was so excited for the family appreciation weekend at the base. Then came the kicker. She casually mentioned that her old college friend's son, a military logistics consultant stationed nearby, would also be attending. A real catch, she said. Major Nathan Cross. He works with private contractors now, very successful and single. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. My love life, or lack thereof, has always been her favorite side project. Every visit, every call, somehow circles back to who I've dated, why I haven't settled down, and how I'm too strong for most men. I knew saying no would only make it worse, so I did what I usually do when faced with family expectations. I sighed and said, "Fine." She took that as an enthusiastic yes, sent me an itinerary, asked what I'd be wearing, reminded me to wear something feminine but respectable. I didn't have the heart to tell her I'd probably be in fatigues half the weekend and didn't care much about impressing anyone. Still, I figured I could survive a few hours of polite conversation and eye-rolling comments. Smile, nod, play the game. That was the deal. I told myself I'd get through it the way I get through most things, with patience, mild sarcasm, and the ability to disassociate just enough not to scream when someone asked if I was still doing that army thing. It wasn't a mission. It wasn't an op. It was just family. Just a dinner. But even then, something didn't sit right. The name. Nathan Cross. It felt heavy in my mouth. Familiar, but misplaced. Like a song you know but can't name. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice whispered, what I've learned to never ignore. Pay attention. The bass club looked different that evening. Softer. Less steel, more smiles. My mom had spent an hour getting ready in the guest housing, dabbing blush on her cheeks and adjusting the scarf she claimed brought her luck. She looked proud, like she was about to introduce me to my future. Families gathered in the rec hall, folding chairs draped in red, white, and blue, soft jazz playing over the speakers. Kids ran between tables. Old vets swapped stories over lukewarm coffee. I kept my uniform crisp, my expression neutral. I'd done combat patrols with less tension in my chest. Then came the moment. My mom beamed as she waved someone over, her voice rising. Julia, this is Nathan. Major Nathan Cross. I turned, extending my hand automatically, already preparing to fake my way through another forced introduction. And that's when it hit me. His face. The bone structure. The jawline that was too sharp to forget. I hadn't seen him at a wedding or a reunion. I had seen him on a high-resolution surveillance photo pinned to a corkboard in a SIF, Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, in Virginia. Nathan Cross. Former major. Dishonorably discharged 3 years ago, though the records were sealed. Currently operating as a consultant for private logistics firms. My brain accessed the file instantly. The subject is suspected of coordinating the theft and resale of sensitive military-grade optics and guidance systems. Priority target. Approach with caution. He was clean-cut, well-spoken, charming in the way predators like him tend to be. But behind his easy smile, I saw the shark. My pulse quickened, not from nerves, but from the icy clarity of combat focus. I kept my handshake firm, my eyes locked, my smile easy. "Major Cross," I said. "A pleasure." "Please call me Nathan," he said, his voice smooth like expensive bourbon. "Your mother has told me so much about you. She says you drive the big trucks." He laughed, a condescending, easy laugh. "Something like that," I said. My mom beamed. "Nathan is doing such wonderful work, Julia. He helps reorganize supply chains for the government. He's very important." "I bet," I said. I sat down. I picked up my napkin, and under the table I moved my hand to my thigh pocket. I tapped out a sequence on my phone without looking. Active location. Visual on target. Priority 1. This wasn't dinner anymore. It was a trap, and he had just walked right into the middle of it. The appetizers arrived. Nathan chatted casually, asking about my job in that tone people use when they assume you push paper. I nodded along, offering just enough to pass. "It must be tiring," he said, leaning in. "The long hours, the low pay. Have you ever thought about the private sector? I could make some introductions. We're always looking for reliable drivers." He smirked. He thought he was offering me a lifeline. He thought he was the big man in the room, saving the poor, unmarried female soldier from her mediocre life. My mom nudged me under the table. "Listen to him, Julia. It's a great opportunity." I took a sip of water. "I'm happy where I am, Nathan. I find the work fulfilling." "Fulfilling?" He raised an eyebrow. "Moving boxes?" "Ensuring the right things get to the right people," I said, locking eyes with him. "And making sure the wrong things don't disappear." His smile faltered. Just for a fraction of a second. A micro expression of doubt. He looked at me. Really looked at me. He was searching for something in my face. Maybe he expected submission. Maybe he expected flirtation. What he found was a wall. I checked my watch. My team, military police investigations and a federal task force liaison, would be 3 minutes out. They needed me to keep him here. "So, Nathan," I said, leaning forward, "my mom mentioned you travel a lot. Were you in Eastern Europe recently? Around the Odessa port?" He froze. His fork hovered halfway to his mouth. Yes, briefly. Business trip," he stammered. The charm was slipping. "Why do you ask?" "Just curious," I said lightly. "I heard the weather was terrible this time of year, especially for shipping sensitive cargo. Lots of lost containers." The color drained from his face. He put his fork down. He looked around the room, his eyes darting to the exits. The predator realized, suddenly, that he was in a cage. I actually need to make a call," he said, pushing his chair back. "Excuse me. Work emergency." He stood up. He smoothed his jacket. "Sit down, Nathan," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was heavy. It was the voice I used when I ordered a breach. My mother gasped. "Julia, don't be rude." "I'm not being rude, Mom," I said, never breaking eye contact with him. "I'm being professional." Nathan laughed nervously. "It's fine, really. I just need to step out." "You're not stepping anywhere," I said. "Major?" I stood up. I blocked his path to the door. "Excuse me?" he said, his voice hardening. "Get out of my way." "The shipment you signed for in Kiev didn't make it to the depot, Nathan," I said, my voice dropping to a register that only he could hear clearly. "And we recovered the guidance chips you tried to sell in Istanbul." His eyes went wide. The mask shattered completely. He looked at me with pure, unadulterated terror. "Who are you?" he whispered. I'm the woman who drives the truck, I said coldly. He lunged. He tried to shove past me, to make a break for the side exit. He didn't make it 2 steps. The double doors of the rec hall burst open. "Federal agents, nobody move!" 6 military police officers in full tactical gear stormed the room. Weapons drawn, voices booming. The room erupted in screams. Guests dove under tables. My mother shrieked, clutching her chest. Nathan froze. He looked back at me, then at the agents. "Major Nathan Cross," the lead MP shouted. "Get on the ground, now." Nathan hesitated. For a second, I thought he might try something stupid. "Don't," I said. "You'll lose." He crumbled. He dropped to his knees, hands on his head. 2 officers moved in, securing him, cuffing him, and dragging him up. The room was dead silent. The jazz music had stopped. My family, my mother, my brother, my aunt were staring, frozen in shock. The lead MP, a captain I had worked with on 3 different task forces, walked over to our table. He didn't look at my mother. He didn't look at the trembling Nathan Cross. He walked straight to me. He stopped. He snapped a salute. "Target secured, Staff Sergeant. The perimeter is locked. We have the transport ready." I returned the salute. "Good work, Captain. Get him out of here." "Yes, ma'am." They hauled Nathan away. As he passed me, he looked at me one last time. There was no charm left. Just the realization that he had underestimated the quiet woman at the table. The doors closed behind them. I stood there in the silence. I adjusted my jacket. I turned to my family. My mother was staring at me. Her mouth was open. Her hands were shaking. My brother looked like he had been slapped. "Julia?" my mom whispered. "What? What just happened? Who was that?" I picked up my glass of water and took a sip. "That was an arms dealer, Mom," I said, "and I just closed his account." "But the police? They saluted you," my brother stammered. You're in supply." I looked at them, really looked at them. "I am in supply," I said. "I supply intelligence, and I supply consequences." I walked over to my mom. I put a hand on her shoulder. She flinched, then relaxed, looking up at me with a mixture of fear and awe. "I'm sorry about the date," I said. "He wasn't right for me anyway." "You knew," she breathed. "The whole time?" "I knew the moment he walked in." "Why didn't you say anything?" my aunt asked, her voice trembling. "Because I needed him to feel safe," I said. "Until he wasn't." I grabbed my bag. "I have to go," I said. "Paperwork to file." I walked out of the rec hall. I didn't look back. The night air was cool. The flashing lights of the MP vehicles painted the parking lot in red and blue. I walked to my car, my beat-up Ford Focus. I got in. I sat there for a moment, letting the adrenaline fade. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "I don't understand everything, but I think I understand enough now. You're not lost, are you?" I smiled. "No, Mom. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." I started the car. They finally saw me. Not the whole picture. They could never see that. But enough to know that the silence wasn't emptiness. It was a focus. I drove toward the exit gate. The guard waved me through. I didn't stay in the military because I needed a badge or a title. I stayed because I believe in the work, in the quiet victories, in protecting people who try to set me up on dates with arms dealers because they think I need saving. I'm not just a soldier. I'm not just a daughter. I'm the one who watches. And tonight, the watch is over.